Today I want to talk about creative people working for free, when that's okay, when it's not okay, and generally how to not get robbed. Welcome back to Pro Tips for Independent Bands. Could you imagine trying to get a personal trainer or a teacher or a builder to work for free? No. Obviously you could not, so then why do people think it's okay for musicians and artists to work for free? It's possibly because musicians and artists are closely related with people having fun. However, it's really important you make it clear that when your band is performing, when you are playing a gig, you are providing a service which should be paid for. In your early days, it is fair enough to be slightly out of pocket for your first few gigs, but once you know there's an audience that will come to your gigs and have a good time and pay entry and buy lots of drinks when they're there, you should be paid for that. Or you could just, make your own gigs, I guess. Also consider, when you work for free, you are not just underselling yourselves, you are also underselling your fellow musicians who might actually be making their entire income from music alone. So fair enough if you don't mind working for free, but you might kind of be making actual musicians homeless. And also imagine if literally everyone refused to play for no money at all. Venues and promoters would have to find money for that, wouldn't they? That'd be nice. So here are some tips and advice for what to do when you don't want to work for free and someone's offering you a free gig. What do you do? What do you say? That kind of thing. And yes, we are aiming this mostly at bands and musicians, but also this will apply if you're a non-performing musician like a composer or a studio engineer or a session musician. And it should also apply if you're any other kind of creative person, like an artist or a director or artisan cheese maker. Don't give away your cheese. Unless it's to me. Also, we are mainly talking about gigs rather than self-promotion stuff like show reels, YouTube videos, making your first EP. Those things you should do for free, at least in the first place. On with the tips.
Don't, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. What are you doing?
You've probably all seen that image of it's a conversation between a restaurant owner and a musician, and the restaurant owner is trying to get this band to play at his new restaurant for free, and he's saying it will be great exposure because it will associate this band with this really great new restaurant. The musician flips it around and says, oh okay, well do you want to promote your restaurant at our next gig? Like we'll let you do it for free, you've just got to give away all your entrees so people can see what a good restaurant you are and come to your restaurant probably later, or maybe not, who knows. And it's stupid seeing that the other way round, because obviously the restaurant owner would be out of pocket, wouldn't they? But then actually people in a band who would have to buy their instruments, restring their instruments or tune them or whatever, and then use a van, especially if you're a drummer or a cellist, maybe use a van to get your gear to a gig. That's petrol money as well as van money. So actually, you're not making money at all, are you? And also, don't let people offer you exposure, because exposure doesn't pay rent. It is possible that people actually think you want exposure, and there's very few instances where that might be true. It might be worth explaining that the very fact that this person found you in order to give you this gig offer is testament to the fact that you don't actually need exposure, because you are findable. So it doesn't matter, you don't need exposure. Sometimes you might be asked to play at a venue which actually relies on having regular live music. If this is the case, i.e. they actually promote themselves as somewhere that you can come, have a meal and a drink or whatever, and discover new talent, they should have a budget put aside specifically for music. If music is a draw to their venue, they need to, pay you. If they don't have a budget specifically for that, and I have heard the phrase, we just don't have money for that, then it is wrong for them to make money off of your abilities that you have been training for however many years. Is just wrong. Especially if they're making money directly by saying, come to this place, watch the bands, but then we don't pay the bands. The people could literally be there for you and you would not see any money. That is just completely wrong. In this instance, I would say actually point out how much money you have spent leading up to this point. So how much you've spent on guitar strings, how much you've spent on music lessons, how much you'll spend getting there on the night, how much you've spent promoting yourself to a point where people will want to see you, and then say, if you can pay us this because this is what we're worth, then we can maybe have this conversation. If not, just to walk away. It's fine, doesn't matter. There is this story I really like of I think it was Picasso?
Old lady Picasso painting story. Yeah? Is that what weeping artist painting story, 30 seconds, 30 years. We paid more. Ooh. Pablo Picasso was an arrogant human being. The guy knew his worth. No, they was one of the two fathers. Pablo Picasso. Yes, it was Picasso. I am the greatest.
Picasso and this old dude, and they're hanging out. Obviously, they're hanging out. They're hanging out, and this old person says, "Yo, Picasso," or whoever, "can you draw my picture?" And Picasso's like, "Sure." Whips out a piece of paper, pen, 3 minutes, does it. Masterpiece. Actual legit masterpiece. And the old dude's like, "That's really cool. Can I give you some money for it?" And Picasso's like, "Yeah, sure, that'll be $3,000. And the dude's like, "It took you 3 minutes to do. If I was paying you on the living wage, that would be 26 pence. Fast maths. That'd be 26 pence. To which they reply, "Yeah, that only took me a couple minutes, but the skills that I've learned in order to do that in a couple minutes took me about 30 years to master, so that's what you're paying for." So never ever doubt that your skills as a musician or artist are worth actual money to people. Speaking of money, ad break.
So basically I screwed up and forgot to record an advert, and that's the story of why I'm sat on the floor doing one now. We don't really make any money making pro tips for independent bands. We make it because we think it's something that the internet needs. I really could have done with just a source of information telling me not to worry about certain things or to focus my attention on certain other things. We pretty much have to just spend money out of our own pocket to do this. But that's fine because we think it's important. However, if you want to sponsor us on Patreon, there might be a URL here somewhere. Patreon is like a subscription-based service, so every month you can give us literally $1 from several people would actually be an amazing help at the moment. We respond by giving you things like merchandise, and we've just added this bespoke feedback option, so we can critique your album and say, "This is cool, this is not so cool, have you tried this, stop doing this," or whatever, specific to your band. What we need to spend money on is lighting in this awful orange coloured room, and marketing so that we can reach more people with this kind of stuff we're trying to talk about. So, yeah. If you want to go to our Patreon, we also have other shows. If you want to go to stabpanda.com, that's stabbedpanda.com. We have a comedy podcast called The Conversation Hat that me and Ben do. That's really funny. We have old music history videos which are like this but animated. We have original comedy sketches you can find again on stabpanda.com or on youtube.com/stabpanda.tv. And we also have a Stab Panda gaming channel as well, which is mainly me, Ben and Cy just being awful at games. Is that everything? You know, it's probably it. Find us on stabpanda.com and find us on Patreon because we need lights, basically. Toodles!
So given everything I've just said It is okay to sometimes work for free, sometimes. Sometimes there are more important things than money, sometimes.
Friendship! Love!
Silent breed is people!
I have a 3-point system. I think I've probably talked about this before. I have a 3-point system for whether or not I take a job offer, and it usually has to be 2 of these things out of the 3, or all 3 if I'm super busy at the time. Basically, a job has to either be really, really fun, really easy, and really in with my skill sets, or it has to further my career in a really substantial way, like literally I do this and then I will be slightly more famous or whatever, or it has to pay an actual decent amount of money. I don't really mind about not getting paid for something as long as it definitely furthers my career or is really, really fun. Most gigs can be fun depending on your band, but most gigs will not further your career in a substantial way, so unless I'm getting paid, I'm not interested, really. Also consider a cost-benefit analysis type thingy. The music industry is in a really weird place at the moment, so we keep hearing. I'm not convinced that it's ever been in a normal place, but whatever. My point is that to a certain extent you should be willing to throw money at things just to see what happens, and that is easier said than done for a lot of us, but occasionally you should be willing to take big risks, and a lot of the time you will come out probably poorer, but certainly more experienced, so that I'm just going to let you dwell on that and decide what that means for yourself. There are some groups like Stab Panda who don't really make money, but that's fine because we're not really about making money. We're more about enabling the creative arts. For instance, self-education, developing a specific skill set like a new instrument or something in a risk-free setting. Making contacts is also quite important, or building up your show reel. So just as long as the people in charge of whatever these projects aren't making shed loads of money off of you, then just be willing to collaborate for your own benefit. Just, it isn't money, that's all. So bear in mind, it is entirely possible to be paid for a project in something other than money, possibly more valuable than money. But also, it's super unlikely that you're going to get those benefits off of some people not really listening to your music in a bar. To wrap up, there is so much that could have gone into this video. I didn't even touch on the whole pay-to-play thing because that's just so huge of an issue. There are lots of varied opinions on this issue, some of them kind of divisive, but what I have done is, if you're watching this on stabpanda.com, if not you go to stabpanda.com and you find this, you should be able to find just this huge list of blogs about this issue. A few different viewpoints, a few different opinions, but all basically agreeing with what I've said. We did try to find some examples of when it's okay to work for free, and man, there just aren't many. And that is all from me. I will see you later. Goodbye. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Liam. This has been Pro Tips for Independent Bands by Stab Panda Productions. If you have enjoyed the video, or you've learned something, or it has scared you, or whatever, you should leave a like, you should subscribe. If you have any questions, you should drop a comment, or any queries or suggestions for other videos, just leave a comment. Lastly, on screen right now there will be a subscribe button, probably somewhere. There will also be a video which is what YouTube thinks of our videos you would most enjoy, because it has data and analytics about you and stuff. So you should just click that because YouTube says you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.